it like we do it.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back and happy Thursday. Okay, guys, so we're back with Kiki, who I think that this is so much fun. If you guys don't know, Kiki is growing her YouTube channel. She's absolutely amazing. She's doing things on Radio Andy, just launched her new podcast. And literally, I know I say this every time, I've never seen a woman at every single event that I've gone to. She is everywhere. So you have to check her out. You have to be a part of her journey because not only does she cover Bravo, which I think is a safe space for me because I know that we'll get the views and everything like that, but she branches outside of that. And it really takes a lot of courage to do that because you don't know necessarily if you will get the views by doing that. So with the way that she conducts her content, I just have the most respect. So we're going to bring her up. Before we do, go ahead, smash that like button. If you're not subscribed, get subscribed. Don't forget to hit that notification bell and let's welcome Kiki. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Hanging in. It's Thursday.
It's Thursday. I'm so excited for the weekend. And I think it's taken a week and a half to revive from Vegas, but I feel
Yeah.
better.
No, it's taken that long to revive. Plus, I feel like for some reason, this is the first year I've been really excited headed into Thanksgiving because I love Thanksgiving. It's like my favorite holiday. But since I moved to LA, it's just been a little bit, I felt off kilter because I'm just used to East Coast holidays and all my family and friends being around. And so I've just sort of gain my footing. I feel like this is the first year I feel like I have my group and I'm excited going in. I might have some time off for once because I'm usually working. And so yeah.
Are you doing a Friendsgiving or a family Thanksgiving?
I feel like it's always sort of like a continuation of a Friendsgiving from the week, the moment the week starts until the end. Because also I'm a Thanksgiving birthday baby,
Oh,
so
wow.
it always meshes with my birthday. Either usually before this time, my birthday I think is the Saturday after Thanksgiving, which is good. So it's it'll just continue on. We'll I'll stop by a few people's houses, just eat all the things.
Do you do the shopping Friday after or no?
I do online, I like to just go online and see what deals they have, usually for travel. I feel like travel has some of the best deals around that time, and I'm always looking for a vacation in January.
Oh, not me. No, I love I go to Walmart and it's nothing that I need from Walmart, but I just want to throw all of the elbows and just fight my way through the electronics department. And it's something that it's a boxing match for me. And I'm like, no, we're doing it. And Jason's like, I am sleeping. And I'm like, you sleep. I'm going to get my aggression out at Walmart. We are doing it.
Well, I'm going to Venmo you. If you can get me an Oculus 3, then I'll.
Listen, don't put it past me. You can Venmo me. I will get your. Now I have something to go for.
Perfect.
But, Kiki, I have to ask you with last night's episode. And I mean, just honestly, this season, I think that we're seeing a little bit more vulnerability from the cast members and also just watching that. Even Erica, we're seeing a different side for now, right?
Yeah.
I don't expect to have this play out the entire season, but for now, we're giving up aggression for Lent and we're not fighting with anyone. What are you rating this week's episode 1 to 10, 10 being the highest?
I mean, this one was a little the beginning I will say was much slower considering we came off of that Vegas trip and it was so everyone was what is going through Sutton's mind. And so we kind of ease into it, but then we get to the end and I feel like a lot of questions were answered because Kyle was very emotional this entire episode.
Yeah.
And it was clear that I felt like she was more obviously she was more aware of what was going on in her relationship than the other women. And I felt like she was having a hard time not revealing that, and so it was coming out in the form of tears, but also in the form of trying to be as direct as possible. And then with the whole blow up with Sutton at the end, I just had this epiphany. I was like, oh, we've been seeing that they've had this separation in their friendship. And I think it has obviously a lot to do, I think, with Kyle being sober and Sutton not being sober and being a drinker. And I think that there's things that maybe trigger each other and it all came out at that moment. And I think that's why they're having a problem in their relationship.
You know what's funny about Sutton is it's almost as if Teddy knew what was coming in the episodes with what she said about Sutton having the vodka in her purse, and then we see her, and editing is so shady when they're like 1 p.m. She's having a vodka cranberry, and then you see her pouring the vodka, and you're like, okay, now, no, okay, okay, we're good. And she, no, a little bit more. Okay, now finally we're good. And you see this like small discoloration of a little bit of red in it. This is not, girl, you are, this is next level.
I
Which,
mean, look, if I was getting $300,000 after taxes a month, I guarantee you many days during the week I would not be sober by like 1 p.m.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess you wouldn't have to be, you know, you don't have to work.
What do you have to do? Like, she goes to her boutique, invites her best friend Jennifer Tilly over to have lunch on fancy plates and sit around. Like, she just like lives a lady of leisure life, a lady who lunches. That is like my goal.
If my husband ever, if we ever got a divorce and I found out that he owned two minor league baseball companies, teams, I would be like, yeah, I'm definitely taking you to the bank, and I am retiring, and I am traveling.
Yeah. Baseball companies, like I think a lumber company, like so many things. I mean, she was very clear on Watch What Happens Live. She was like, y'all don't even know all the assets I have.
Well, and especially $300,000 is what we know from the one part of alimony. That's not to mention all of the companies. I think that it's something to the effect of 420 to 500,000 that she gets monthly, which is just dumb. Like a lot of
It's
us don't see that in like 10 years, right?
yeah. It's like I can't even imagine living, yeah, at that level of wealth. You know, when they were talking at the table in Vegas and like how much money is like enough, and you know, Erica of course doesn't have any right now, and she makes the point of like, when you don't have to think about the light bill, right? It's just, you know, it's taken care of until eternity. That's when you know you're just like in a good place. Like when you have to start thinking about like, okay, this is my monthly nut, and how am I going to handle that? Like, you know, it's uncomfortable when you haven't had to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Sutton, we cannot relate to you, but that's
No.
okay.
You are
This
not
is
relatable.
exactly, this is what we asked for. We asked for the opulent lifestyle, and you are giving it to us. So Sutton, we appreciate you. But going through this week's episode, I just wanted to ask you. We kind of pick up where we left off with the whole Garcelle situation of it all, and we see Garcelle sit down with her son Oliver, and she just continues to express love for him after he was on the highest rated Bravo show, Vanderpump Rules, for his moment with Rachel Leviss. I always get so confused calling her Rachel. I'm like, Raquel, girl, you can't just change your name and we put all of this in the past. You are whatever.
Yeah.
So with Rachel, I feel like, you know, Garcelle is such a good mom. And I've spoken with her, I've DM'd with her. I'm like, if I didn't have my mom, I would want you as a mom, because I think that you were just probably one of the sweetest women that I've ever met. And she, first and foremost, has her boy's interest before anyone.
Yeah.
I love her.
I agree. I mean, you know, obviously, you know, this season we're seeing she doesn't feel as, you know, the best mom she could have been.
Yeah.
Um, but you know, she had to like go work, you know, she had to dump her husband over a mass email chain when she found out he was cheating for 5 years, and then she had to like, you know, get to work to raise those kids. And so, yeah, when you're a working mother, you have to make sacrifices. And so now she's sort of like feeling bad about that, but they're obviously okay because, you know, they're like, you were great. Like, I needed you then, but like, it's not like I'm, you know, I'm
Struggling.
okay. Yeah.
When your mom takes you to a shoe shop and you get to spend like $3,000-$4,000 on shoes, I think we're okay.
Exactly. Exactly.
And you know what's funny about this situation too is I asked, well, I didn't ask. I did a ask me a question on my Instagram DMs, and they said, Adam, would you ever put out a message, like a mass message like that, if you caught Jason? And I had to sit on it and think for a second. And I was like, you know, I feel like I love my husband. If that happened, I don't think that I would want I don't know. I can't say because it hasn't happened to me. So I can't say that I would not do that. However, I do think that in my mind, I would be maybe a little bit reckless and maybe kind of lead with emotion. I don't think that I would be so easily controllable. I think I would be like, "Oh, you have something to say to me? Cue. I don't
Yeah.
care."
I mean, look, I am a Sagittarius. I am a fire sign. So, like, what initially comes up of my reactions, I definitely have to tamper down. And so, I do a lot of those things where I like write an email and just save it in my drafts. It's like, I know that this should not be the email that, so I never know. I never know what I'm going to do in that moment. I like to believe that I have some control, but you never know.
Well, we obviously had this episode called The Hellevator. Now, you, Kiki, are so well versed on the behind the scenes, the production, and all of it, right? So let me just ask you, do you think that this was a setup with the elevator, or was this just by chance?
It had to be because I feel like they were in a very exclusive suite at that hotel. Like they had their own backyard with a pool. Like nobody can just like get into that without a special key. So
Right.
like for them to be in this elevator, obviously Erica was like, all right, I'm gonna buzz you in. Here you go. Get in here. And I'm like, and just go and I'm gonna buzz you up and we're gonna be standing here like she knew what she was doing.
You know what's funny is when I went, and for those of you guys who don't know, with over 300 people in the room, today I am going to join Kiki and we're going to talk. And I'm not going to hold back when it comes to the conversation about what happened in Miami. I think that that's just fair at this point with everything. And Kiki actually, she asked me, and she was so gracious and kind with the just idea behind it of whether or not I wanted to have this conversation. And I was like, no, I don't care. Like, I don't, there's nothing to hide. And when I went, my husband used our points and really set me and my best friend up in this hotel where it was at the top of, I believe it was a Marriott, I think. And it was points. By the way, guys, I did not pay for this. It was just purely points. And they put us in an autograph collection on top of the hotel. So the hotel went up to floor 36, and then the autograph collection was like, I think, floors 37 to 41. You walk in, they greet you with champagne. You get like a whole hotel suite, floor to ceiling windows. And I'm like,
Wow.
oh my God, I'm Sutton for less than 24 hours. Like
Yeah.
in 10 hours, I have to check out, and that's okay. But yeah, you cannot get to it without a key. Like you definitely are not getting to it without either someone escorting you or a key. It doesn't happen. So watching this, I was like, no fucking way.
Yeah, no, she knew. I mean, she had her whole practice of Lent of not starting arguments, but she had this whole diatribe about how, I don't know, was it God who spoke to her? Somebody spoke to her and told her that this Sutton moment was okay for her, and the only way she was going to get it is if, Sutton was confronted by the people she felt had been disrespected.
Well, and last time we spoke, we even felt like Sutton, I believe, if I remember correctly, we felt like Sutton was being like the most.
Yeah, no, Sutton was absolutely being the most, and like, look, we've always known Sutton to be kind of like unhinged. This was the first time, though, on this episode, I saw her getting a little bit like slurry and sloppy, and I don't know if it was because I was paying more attention because she was coming undone. But yeah, it was just behavior that was. I don't know if you're just a bratty person, right? Who just stomps and gets her way, which also probably, because again, that was part of the reason I didn't like her when she first came on the scene. I remember like after she like dissed Rihanna's line for the first line, I just was like, oh, I'm never gonna like this woman. But then what ended up happening is we had the Erica season, right? And she was the only one calling Erica out. So then all of a sudden it was like, oh, all right, maybe this Sutton character isn't so bad. Maybe she's doing the work.
She redeemed herself with you.
but now her true color is like the real Sutton, now that it's shown back right on her, and this is who she is. You're kind of like, oh wait, is this who she is?
You know what? I guess my biggest confusion would be in this situation is, and I think that Garcelle's a great friend, but I don't understand why Garcelle. I think it's because she's just within the fan base, but also within the talent. She is so automatically tied to Sutton at this point. They're like linked at the hip, and she wants to continue to be a good friend. But I guess my question is like, I feel like you're supporting bad behavior, but I think that you're doing it because you don't want to leave her on a sinking ship, which also makes you a good friend. But I think as a good friend, it's okay to be like, no, ma'am.
No, like Sutton and Garcelle are doing the Robin and Giselle model. Where
Yes.
like they're not, even when the bad behavior comes, they're still going to have each other's back, which again is a commendable model when you have that as a friend. But sometimes it's like makes you side eye that person, like, do you see your friend?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking because I was watching it and I'm like, Garcelle, I know that she would have your back too, but you're not doing anything for anyone to have your back. Like you are just constantly, and I said this to you last time. I feel like the ladies try to put Garcelle in this bubble of trying to get her to react as an aggressive black woman. Do you get that or no?
You know, I don't know. Like I
Like
guess
Dorit, I saw that.
yeah, I think that Dorit is, but like, I don't know. Dorit antagonizes everybody. So I don't know. Like, I just feel like Dorit just knows how to get under everyone's skin. I felt like in the beginning I did feel that way a lot. I don't feel that way as much anymore, honestly.
So it's not okay. That's nice though, that you don't feel like it's like color of your skin specific. You
No,
feel
not
like it's just
anymore.
who Dorit is.
Yeah, I think it is. And I just think that, yeah, I think that's what it is.
Okay. Okay. So now moving forward, we see where Dorit has an awkward conversation with Kyle about what are you doing in this relationship? Like we all see that you are now being sober. You are going to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning. And Kyle kind of opens up and she's like, I just I don't want to go to these parties anymore. I don't want to sit there and, play pretend. This is not something that like interests me anymore. And she's like, how is that sustainable for a marriage? And you and I are in, like I guess I can say this because I have a different perspective maybe than you because you get to do the dating scene, right? And
Mhm.
I have been in my relationship for 10 years. And I think personally, if my husband and I had a complete, just this moment where we were trying to figure out, like, he wanted to do the social scene and I didn't, I don't think that it would necessarily bug me the most as long as at home you were understanding where I was coming from in conversations where things were like affecting me, like family or other um, facets of my life, whether it was work or whatever the case would be. And if you want to go out and you want to, like, I am like the least jealous person. If you want to go out and you want to go have cocktails with a bunch of friends, by all means, let me stay home and watch reruns of Laguna Beach. I don't care. Like, I'm good.
Yes and no, but like it's clear. The one thing I will say Sutton hit on the nose is I do think that Kyle is having a midlife crisis. But I think coming with that is like when she's realizing who she is, I don't think that I think she's realizing that she actually doesn't fit in this bubble. Like, yes, could they live completely, different lives in like, not wanting to drink and having different interests and stuff like that and come together? Sure. But I don't think her interest even lies. I think she, like she said, she wants to be in the mountains. I think they said, do they have a place in Colorado or somewhere? I think she wants to go live in the mountains, be a cowgirl. I mean, everyone was making the joke how she looked like Rodeo from Rock of Love when she had that black hat on. I just think she wants to like be a cowgirl, live in the mountains, and that is not a lifestyle that Mauricio wants. He wants to be flashy with expensive houses and like doing the Beverly Hills, Bel Air thing, and I think she's like, I'm over it.
What was funny was when when Jason and I did Sheena's show, I sat down at Jason's after party. It was an after party we threw for him because he wasn't able to make Pops's. He wasn't able to make the funeral of Pump, is what they called it, because my grandfather passed away. And I spoke with Ariana, and she was one of the few people who I think had such a good grasp of, I am going to take the money, I'm going to work my ass off. And I know that, Adam, that this doesn't last forever. And when it's gone, I want my house in the mountains and I want my white picket fence and I want to move on. I just want to set myself up financially. This is not a sustainable life. Like, I don't want to keep up. And I was like, good for you, And I think that Kyle might be at the, first of all, anybody who is splitting $100 million fortune is able to kind of come up with this, right? Like, it's very different. It's different than you and I, who are like, hi, here is this ad for this skincare company. And oh my God, I am getting, like a check for $400 and I'm going to be able to buy groceries for the next 2 weeks. Wow. As opposed to someone who's like, oh, I just got $50 million deposited in my bank. Yeah, bye.
And I think that's why she might even be so disappointed in how Sutton's reacting, because she probably saw Sutton as someone, I will say aspirational, in a sense that like they have similar paths where it's like built all this wealth and now they're in this second half of the second chapter of their life. And she sees Sutton has like, made this boutique and, built her house and done all these things. And she sees like, it's possible. And yeah, she's struggling on the dating scene and that part is scary, but like she sees that she's obviously a much happier person. But then when Sutton has these unhinged moments, I think it triggers Kyle, because she's like, well, I don't know. Are you happy or not? Like, are you okay? That's why I think she was just like, are you okay? Because Sutton should actually be a safe space for Kyle, but she's not right now. And I think that's hurtful.
If I were, is it Avi?
Avi, yeah, I think it's Avi.
Yeah. If I were Avi, I'd fucking quit. Like, you would not talk to me. Like, this is crazy. You would not talk to me like you're silly out of like the left side of your face. I feel like, and I understand that you were paying the bills, but like, you are wild. And then also when she's like, then what did she say? Then say it or name it. What was her thing?
Name them.
Oh yeah,
I would have lost it.
I'm like, you were lucky this girl is from Beverly Hills, babe, because you are from the South and you understand that most people would just like, you would get Danielle Staub to Margaret Josephs or Candace Diller Bassett to Monique Samuels, like something, or Portia Williams in the back of the Christmas party when she dragged that woman. Like, something would happen. You don't get to talk to people like this. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, it was like, it was infuriating. I was just like, as someone who's also like been around people who are annoying drunks or, like pushy, it's like, it's so just like, oh, you want to wring their neck, but like, it also wouldn't matter.
I mean, oy, oy, oy. And, I know we had the like little rodeo night, and I know we had some great conversations between Crystal and Erica. And I feel like Erica's really coming to terms with, I like the fact that she's vulnerable. And how else would you approach this, right? You can't pretend like you have all of the money in the world anymore. That's not true. And one, if you did, you're going to get demolished. Like, people are going to eat your ass alive on social media. If you're like, I'm still rich, like, then people will be like, well, then why don't you pay the victims?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can't really get away with that. But I guess my next question is if I had to look at some of the marriages on here that would be in question, the two, obviously, Kyle and Mauricio is first and foremost, but then Dorit and PK, that's another big one where we're just like, what is going on? Do you think that this marriage is going to last?
This is the problem. I think that they're so intertwined financially that it's one of those marriages that's going to be hard to just separate because I don't think that they can function on their own individually. And so because of that, but unfortunately, I think that Dorit has sort of allowed PK to be sort of like running things for long enough. Now she's the one I think that's really holding the purse strings. But I think it seems based on what we've read, we don't know, it's all, rumors, he may have gotten into trouble being in charge all of those years. And now Dorit, because they're married, will be on the hook for that. So it's like, even if you separate, it's like, does that help your situation or does it make it worse? Because now you have to do the divorce. Now you have to have two households to run, and you can barely afford the one because you're in debt from that. So I think that's definitely, it seems like that's a stressor between them.
Yeah.
For sure.
This is melting my bronzer just thinking about it. I feel it. I feel it melting. I'm like, oh no, I never want to be in this position.
No, it's like it's also, it like gives me hives just like thinking about the amount of money that like some of these couples are like dealing with and having to separate and just all of that. Ugh, yeah, it gives me a headache.
Also, though, if I came to my spouse and I said I have PTSD because I had two men who held me at gunpoint, and you said, okay, I'm kind of over it, and I think that you're embellishing it a little bit, I'd be like, bitch, embellishing it? I was held at gunpoint. Please, let's do a mock-up trial of what this looked like.
Yeah.
Let's yank you out of bed and show you what this looks like, because this is not something that anyone should ever go through.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem. I mean, PK, like part of what we liked about his humor was that he had that typical British just like attitude. But when it comes to your wife and like, yeah, having a home invasion, you can't have that same British attitude, dude.
No. And now also, I know that you probably have seen the Bethany Frankel, Denise Richards podcast.
I haven't seen it. I've seen clips.
Okay, well, she was talking about how she felt like Lisa Rinna was acting out of desperation in order to maintain her spot on the show.
Oh.
I just want to know, because for me, I had a really hard time. Actually, it was almost like political in the world of Bravo Housewives, in a sense that I actually had disagreements with other content creators who really, really loved Lisa Rinna. And I was like, how do you stand behind someone who is so actively trying to tear apart a family and a sisterhood and all of these things? And they're doing it, they're not doing it because they give a shit. That's very clear, but they're doing it because there is a paycheck involved. And I couldn't stand behind that, but I want to know, and please do not change your answer for me. What were your thoughts on Lisa Rinna in her final days?
Look, I will say I enjoyed the last season she was on because like it was really, really messy. Because as a viewer, watching people get torn apart is unfortunately entertaining sometimes, right?
Right. You need a villain.
Yeah. But I'm not going to say I miss it because I'm again, like I will say I haven't even realized really she's been gone this season because it's just a different element. I think that there's a bit of truth to that, of like you're hanging on because you don't have a storyline. So this is like sort of what you have to do to create one. And I will give you that. You did create a good storyline and we were all highly entertained. So bravo. But that type of storyline maybe just doesn't work repetitively, right? We did it a lot, and now we're kind of like it's run its course, and now we kind of have to like pivot.
All right, so since we're saying that about her, I don't know if you noticed, and I'm going to keep the majority of this for today when we go on your show. I wanted to ask you a few questions about the Real Housewives of Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Just for my audience who's watching. And again, guys, you have to go check it out. I've never actually been on Radio Andy before, and Kiki is doing the damn thing. So the fact that she even invited me, I thought was super sweet. So thank you again.
Of course.
Adriana Demora was not featured in this scene except for a flashback to when she was covering the opera of it all with Julia Limagova. Do you think that she gets paid for the episode because there was a flashback, or and that counts as an appearance, or do you think that no, because there was no actual appearance on the episode? And I know that
Since
that's
she
like,
wasn't, yeah, since she wasn't filming and she already got paid for filming that day, I would say, well, I guess if she showed up, if there was a camera that day they were doing the opera, then she probably actually did get paid for that day.
yeah.
It also just depends on the deal, because I know that some cast members get a flat rate deal where they just got a fee, and then like when they have to show up, they have to show up, and some get paid based on the days they showed up.
Did you die when you saw Larsa and she was like, "Oh, no, of course, out of confidence. Yes, babe, I am so sorry." First of all, when she said, "How do you know you have breast cancer?" I'm like,
Like, what do you mean? How do I know? Like, do you think I just like said it? Do you think I just guessed it? Do you think I just wait, what? I think honestly though, in that moment, I will say this. I think that Larsa was so, because she was ready to pounce on Gertie for like, why'd you, and she was so caught up in like the fake that when she realized it was something real, she just actually didn't know how to react, because
yeah.
she's so used to making everything about herself. She just like literally didn't know. Not that was that was an excuse, because that was a terrible way, but like I think she was actually so caught off guard of like, oh wait, I don't know how to make this about me now.
You know, a lot of people don't know this, but I was on my way, and this is a story that I hate, and I don't think I've ever really shared it, but I was on my way to get it was my final exams for my associate's degree before I moved to LA, and I got accepted into UCLA. And I never went because I couldn't afford it, and that's okay, you know. So I was on my way to Chattanooga State Technical Community College, and this was in Tennessee. And I think it was my last final for my communications class. And my mom called me crying, and she found out that she had breast cancer. And I slammed on my brakes, and my car hydroplaned. It was raining, and it hydroplaned into the back of a tow truck, and it
Oh my
busted in
god.
the front of my car. So I I got to my finals, I think like 7 minutes late, and I explained, and I was like squalling to the professor, please let me in. And they had the doors closed, and they're like testing, you know, like we are not going to whatever. And they finally let me in. So thank God. But it was one of those moments that I was just like, ay, ay, ay. And seeing that she had her husband explain to her two younger boys, and she didn't know how to necessarily navigate that. I thought in my head, I don't know if there is a right way to navigate that, because I think that when you hear that your parent, who is your superhero, right? It's the person that you love the most, like your mom and your dad, and both of them to me, those are definitely, even my mother-in-law, my superheroes. I think that you see it and you hear it and you're like, what? Like you feel like everything's crumbling. And
Mm-hmm.
the way that she navigated it with her husband and seeing how he was just totally by her side in that, I was like, man, like, good for you. We all need a you in our
No,
life.
and like I'm sure I know for a fact people are out there judging her and how she decided like, well, why weren't you there to tell your sons and all that? I never judge how people, give news. I never judge people and how they grieve. Like, people are like, well, how could you just be at a party the next, you don't know, like grief looks different. So it's like I don't judge anyone in those moments, because it's like it is such a um we were talking earlier how like I had done this documentary and my doppelganger and I went viral for this little song where it's like compartmentalizing and disassociation, keeping busy, so I don't have any feelings like
And you just,
that.
I love that you just sat there and you're like, sing to me.
And
Like,
I'm like,
it was like Ursula and like the Little Mermaid. You're like, sing to me.
but like that's like I sometimes like when I hear traumatic news, I go into like a very like, okay, yeah, let me box this in and like let me not, and then let me do my thing. And so, yeah, like she did it the best way she knew how. And she is also still on TV. Like she's still a reality star, and she also has to really realize that she has to do this in a way that is like telling the world, and so it's never going to look how everyone wants it to look, but you just have to do it the best way you can.
No, and I think that also there's a different pressure on Gertie in telling this story, because I think that a lot of women or even men, because men get breast cancer too, right? It's not as common, but it does happen. And I think that anybody who's watching this who might go through a story like that, you could be leaning on this housewife who might be your favorite housewife, and how that they're explaining their story. And maybe you look at that for guidance. And, even for my mom, I don't blame her for that day, because she had no one else to call except for me and my three brothers. She wasn't married. She didn't have anyone. And it was probably just one of the hardest times of her life. And, like to this day, like I completely understand. Am I happy or hydroplaned in the back of a car? No. But, thank God the guy had a hitch, and I begged him. I was like, sir, I have to get to my finals. Please. I didn't hurt your car. My car, the whole front end is like ripped in. Please just like let me go. And he looked and he's like, okay, son, I'm going to let you go. And I was like, thank you. Thank you for that. God. I appreciate. So wherever you are, sir, I just appreciate you. But I think with all of it, guys, we're going to, again, getting back to it, we will be covering the Real Housewives of Miami today. And for all of you who have questions regarding the Katarina, and I can't ever say her name the other way as Katharina. I can't say it that way anymore because I have learned appropriately how to pronounce it. I know that there are so many questions, and I will be answering those with Kiki, and anything that you guys have. If you want to message Kiki or whatever the case is, I don't care. I will answer them. There is nothing to hide here. And I'm just so grateful to be even asked to that platform. So Kiki, for you, thank you.
Of course. I can't wait to get into it. I mean, because I haven't even gotten to listen to the full story. I know you did a video the other day, but I was on air, and then I've just been so I'm like, you know what? Let's just do it together. And I want to hear the tea.
Did you think I was going to say no?
I thought that you would come on to talk about Miami. I was like, why not? We can talk about Miami on the air. I didn't know if you wanted to talk about the interview, because I know protecting people that you work with is important. I know that I don't tell a lot of stories because I've been sworn not to, and so so you never know. I get it, but I figured once you started talking about it on your channel, you might be a little more open to it.
Honestly too, I don't feel like I'm hurting anybody by sharing the story. I think the story is just the story, and well, we haven't really talked about. I've talked about it very briefly, so I'm interested to see what your questions are. And listen, Kiki, I am putting this in your hands. And also, for those of you who want to know it, again, definitely check it out. But I am going to share this right now because the other day, as you guys know, Jason was changing out all of our equipment, and we had Jenny Blaze from Bravo and Blaze on, and we weren't able to give her a proper shout out on her Instagram, but we are back in action, and we have it, and we have the access. So if they don't know Kiki, will you let them know?
Yeah, you can go to the Talk of Shame, and I'll even actually put a story up today for anyone who might have questions for you, and I'll let them put those in the question box. Why not?
It's I say this and I'm like, listen, we're so excited to get into it, and I'm probably gonna be 15 minutes into it and be like, what the fuck did I do?
I mean, it is a live radio show. Maybe if Katarina is listening, maybe she'll call in.
Oh, yeah. On a live radio show, I have to censor myself. There's no cussing.
Of course there's cussing. It's serious. You can do whatever you want.
I can say asshole.
You can say asshole. You can say fuck. You can say whatever you want.
Oh my God, not fuck. Wow. We're just getting straight into it.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. All right. So this will be at what time?
It is 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific on Radio Andy.
And if people want to find it, is that the best way?
Yeah, I mean, I think I can't remember the exact channel Radio Andy is. For some reason, I want to say 102, but I don't know if that's right. But I know it's Radio Andy. And obviously, if you don't have Sirius, they're giving away like free trials right now, or maybe it's like $1 for 3 months. So literally, sign up for 3 months for $1, and you can, and you'll be worth it because you'll get to hear all the other channels that are on there, which are awesome.
Definitely. Guys, we love you so much. Thank you. And definitely let me go back over here so I can scroll up at the Talk of Shame. You want to check out Kiki. She has an amazing podcast. She has an incredible YouTube channel. Her TikTok is on fire. As I'm scrolling through, you can see that she does not hold back. So any of your Bravo go-tos, definitely go check her out. With that, we have more videos coming out your way. And then tomorrow, I'm not going to lie, I don't know if I'm live with Bravo Breaking News, Lisa Hochstein, Emily D. Baker. I'm live with someone, and I will find out later today, and I'll keep you posted in the community tab. So with that, everyone in the live chat, thank you for engaging. Thank you for being sweet, and we will see you next time. Bye, guys.